What up, ladies and gentlemen? And now we're clear. How are you guys doing? I hope you're having a great day. I am here presenting with you, hanging out, having a good time. We're going to talk through some ideas on things we can do to be a baller teacher in our school, in our classroom, and in our community, whether it's in person or online. Okay. So like whether you're being nice in TikTok or YouTube or wherever you are, we're just trying to create a great atmosphere for people to, create a culture that people want to be a part of and that we want to grow from, and that we're always getting better and other people are always getting better. When you get here in the chat, if you could, if you're, watching this live, you can do it live. If you're watching it later, you can put it in the comments, or you can just text a friend, whatever you want to do. I would love if you wanted to join this. And I would love to know where you teach, what you teach, and let's see what else. Your name, what you teach, where you teach. Okay. The name's in there in case your username is like, Banana Pizza 88. It's good to know who is and who isn't, who is with us, who is not with us. So when you join, jump in, say that. I would love to know. So let's make that look a little bit. Oh, look at that. Get rid of them black bars up at the top and the bottom. There we go. Wow. Okay, sweet. Well, I'm going to give a few more minutes, about another minute for people to jump in and join if they want to, and just hanging out. So I'm waiting to see. I'll tell you, I teach college classes now, and then I also get the chance to teach teachers. And so I get the opportunity to do that, which is kind of cool because it's like where it's cool because when you start teaching teachers, you get the opportunity to impact people on another level. And it's really cool. You get to talk about your experiences, things you did that were successes, things you did that you feel like were failures. And hopefully people can learn from both of those. So, okay. Checking to make sure nothing changed in here. Throw your name in the chat if you want to. And I'm just going to start cranking it out if that's cool. Okay. When you jump in, jump in, have a good time. Have fun. Today what we're talking about is communication is key, and communication is so important. I talk about this with the baller teacher stuff, but then also I talk about it whenever I do keys to authentic leadership, because I feel like it is so important, importante, because communication is where it all starts. Like you don't learn unless someone communicates with you, whether it's online, in person, whatever it is, you don't learn unless it is communicated to you. Sometimes we have people that are good communicators, and that doesn't always mean standing up in front of the class or standing on stage and presenting. Sometimes, a lot of times, more communication happens in those interactions and those smaller things that help people grow and, get to the next step in what they're doing. You can say, don't say this in the chat. This is one of the very few times I will say, don't say this in the chat, but I want you to think in your mind. You can close your eyes if you want, unless you're driving, don't close your eyes. So like peep your eyes in like a very appropriate amount. Think of someone that you're upset with right now, somebody you're frustrated with, whether it's today, this month, this year, or it's been 5 years since you've talked to them. Think of someone you're frustrated with. Okay. You got them. You think about them. You got them in your head. I would assume, unless they're like a serial killer, like they're not a terrible person. Okay. You may say, oh, they're terrible. But really, are they a terrible person? Are you a terrible person? I vote. You can say this in the chat. No, I'm not a terrible person. You are probably not a terrible person. They are probably not a terrible person. There's very few people that are just blatantly bad people, know they're bad, and enjoy being bad. The people that make mistakes or frustrate us or do stuff like that, they do it from a spot, from my experience, they do it from a spot where they don't know that's what they're doing. They don't know that's what they're putting out there, what they're projecting, how people are receiving them. Okay. So why am I bringing this up? Tyler, why are you talking about people you're upset with? Why are you talking about people that you're mad at? Because I've had plenty of teachers, like whether it's just them because they're upset at me or somebody in the building or something, or I've had two teachers in my office separately, and then I'll have them together to resolve some conflict. Parents and teachers, parents and students, two students. 95% of the time when there's an issue with two people, it comes down to poor communication. She got mad because she said this, or he got mad because he inferred this from the way they looked, or they sent this email and they italicized this, which I took to mean as this, this, and this. So often our frustrations stem from a lack of clear communication, which impacts how much we trust people. So if you will watch this video, these are two sisters and they're about to do a trust fall. You guys know what trust falls are. It's where you close your eyes, you fall backwards, and somebody catches you. It's a team building exercise. This young lady's about to fall into her friend, her sister's arms. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. All the way to the ground. She committed. She committed like a Dracula standing up in his coffin, but he's standing up and just all the way to the ground. And they're both upset. She's upset. Red shirt is upset because she hit the ground. You didn't catch me. The other girl's, she's not as upset. She's laughing. But did she want her to hit the ground? Did either of those girls think in their head before it happened, ooh, this is going to be funny. Somebody's going to get hurt? No. What happened was poor communication. I don't know why I did the syllables like that. Why'd you syllabize like that, Tyler? I don't know. Okay. Poor communication led to that outcome. It happened because those two people did not communicate clearly the expectations and what was going to happen. Whenever we have issues in our classroom with us and students, with us and parents, with, teachers, coworkers, administrators, so frequently it is poor communication on the expectations, what's supposed to be happening, or why those things aren't being met, why those expectations in that classroom are not being met. So I want to encourage you. This is one of the most important things you can do in the classroom. So there's a research study that we analyzed in one of my classes, in one of my doctoral classes. Okay. It's not Dr. Tarver yet. So, unless you're watching this in the future, then it very well might be. But what we looked at is, in that research study, it was done over the course of the pandemic when everyone was working from home, students are working remotely, all of this. The thing that they found, because a lot of bosses, a lot of principals, if you were a teacher, whenever you were teaching remotely, did you ever assume that your boss thought you weren't working? Like you were just watching Netflix, not teaching, not working? I think a lot of that's attributed to generations. And what I always like to say is, if you think that I don't work when I leave work, if I'm not checking emails or answering phone calls or doing anything when I leave work, then that means that I would assume that's because you don't. And they can't imagine a world where you stay on top of stuff outside of work. Now, what they found in this research study is that it's not that people are chilling and taking a break and viewing it as a 6-week vacation because they're doing online. The problem is they actually work too much. The hours are blurred. Right now, I'm in my garage. I work from home sometimes. If I work from home, it's very easy to think, well, I'm at home, which is a place I relax. But, at 8 p.m., if I get an email, I'm like, well, I'm also at work because I work from home. So it's it blurs the lines of where is work and where is home. And it's hard to separate them. When you get in your car, you leave your building, you get in your car and you drive home. It's like your brain gets the chance to be okay, we're turning off work mode and we're turning on home mode. Okay. Family mode, friend mode, whatever it is, we're turning that. It's an opportunity to have that transition. Whenever you're working from home or whenever students are doing work from home, they don't get that. They don't get that transition because their work is their home. And it's what I always advise students is find a desk or an area or a chair or a place in your house that is your workstation. And when you're sitting there, that is when you do work. And when you're not sitting there is not when you do work. Okay. What happens is, us as educators, whether we're teachers, principals, bosses, whatever we're doing, we need to be clear in our expectations for when work hours are. We need to let them know, hey, you work from 8 to 3:30. After that, that's your time. Don't worry about prepping. Don't worry. Tomorrow, things will happen. Tomorrow will be here. Do not worry about that. Don't worry about what's going to happen later. I want you to because we need that moment where we zone out, which leads to what number 2 was from the study. We need to check in on people. We need to ask the questions. How are you doing emotionally? We need to ask our students, hey, where's your head at? How are you doing? How is your life? Because our life does not stop when we walk into the class. When students walk into the classroom door, it does not clean the slate. It doesn't shake the Etch-a-Sketch of their life. Whenever they walk in those doors, all that stuff is still with them. And now they have to learn quadratic formulas, or now they have to learn photosynthesis, or now they have to learn the alphabet, whatever grade they're in. They now have to add that as another layer on top of what's going on with their parents and their friends and their boyfriend or their girlfriend and their home life and, whatever's going on with them, not including society and culture and everything else that's impacting them. We need to check in on people, and we need to make it a point for us as leaders in our classrooms and in our schools to communicate that we want to hear this. One of the things that I pride myself, and I'm not the best at it, but I try very hard to be good at it, is I try to be approachable. When I was at central office, I tried to be approachable to my principals. When I was a teacher, I tried to be approachable to my students. If a student had a terrible night, I wanted them to know they could come up to me and talk to me and be like, hey, I'm not ready for this quiz. I had some stuff happen, and I don't want to give you a ton of details, but I hope you trust me, Mr. Tarver. And I want to be the kind of person that hears that and trusts them. Now, do you have to be careful not to get to where students abuse that or teachers abuse that? Yeah, you have to do that. And that comes with discernment and experience. But I always wanted them to feel like they could come to me if something was an issue. And that's something we have to start bringing into the world. It's no longer black and white, like do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. Like we have to be able to receive and hear people and work through how they're doing emotionally, because that's going to impact their learning. And that's what our goal is, right? If something's going to inhibit our learning, if you're sitting in your class and you're teaching, and every day a 7-foot baby elephant was standing between you and your students, and you just pretended like that didn't exist, like that elephant wasn't there, blocking their view to the board, distracting them from what's going on, taking their attention away, eating up their homework. If I assume that their little trunks eat up, I don't know if they eat homework or not. I'm assuming they eat leaves, whatever. Trees are leaves, right? It's just fancy lumber. Okay. So whenever we're teaching, if that baby elephant is in there, would we not address that elephant in the room? See what I did there? Would we not address that issue as teachers because it's distracting them from learning? All these little issues that are happening with our students emotionally, mentally, whatever, sometimes physically, whatever is impacting them, that is an elephant in the room that if we don't address it, it's just going to lead to more and more distractions and barriers between them and the learning we're trying to have take place in our class. Okay. I had a friend tell me this one time. I was talking to him, and he was like, hey, nobody wants to do a bad job. Sometimes they just don't know how to do a good job. Now, how can someone not know how to do a good job? Clear communication is not there. That's how. I had a teacher, okay? And he was one of those teachers that they call it Dance of the Lemons. They also call it, I call it the bad teacher shuffle. As whenever I was at central office, we had principals that were handing this guy off, and nobody wanted him in their building because they felt like he was a lazy teacher. He didn't care about putting effort into his classroom. Now, I talked to him. I had a good rapport with him. And one day I just asked him, I was like, hey, man, why? No. He came to me, and he's like, hey, I heard that I'm not viewed as a good teacher. He's like, that takes me off guard because I try really hard in my classroom. I don't know why I'm not viewed as a good teacher. And I was like, well, from my understanding is it's viewed that you don't put a lot of effort into your lessons. You just kind of do the basic lecture. He goes, basic lecture? Like that's how I thought I was supposed to teach, just stand up, lecture, and then they just take notes. And I was like, well, according to the way they evaluate, we use a TESS framework, a TESS, and it has different domains and different levels to how you teach. And if you just lecture, that's a 2 out of 4, 4 being the best. That's a 2 out of 4. Okay. And so he's like, I just thought that's what I was supposed to do. I was like, no, man, you got to add in activities. You got to add discussions. He was like, oh, okay. Like what? Can you give me some examples? And I had the idea that students make up like a rhyme or a song to, different countries. And then they almost do like rap battles, but they're like using information, like they're pretending to be that country and they're getting in a rap battle with these other countries. And he did it, and he filmed it, and it became one of our coolest lessons that anybody in the building did all year. And it's not that he wanted to be bad. He did not want to be the bad teacher. He did not know how to be a good teacher. So a lot of times whenever you feel like you're not meeting the expectations of your principal, or if you're a principal and you don't feel like your teachers are meeting your expectations, give clear expectations with examples. Show them and talk to them, talk through what they think a good lesson is. And then you tell them, well, here's how we would actually elevate that lesson to be even better. And I think you could do this. If you want to be a next level teacher, do this with your students. Have it to where your students go in and they're actually being the ones that go in and, are helping you determine what's going to make your lesson even better. So nobody wants to do a bad job. Sometimes they just don't know how to do a good job. Now, when I was working on my dissertation, there's a lot of research studies that show I'm focusing on how people engage with online learning with video. And there's a lot of lessons that show how people, like why they check out of videos. Why does someone stop watching something on video? And the reason is because number one, they're confused about what's happening. Okay. Number two is they don't see how it applies to them. Whenever they are learning or they're watching a video, think of a video you've watched. Okay. Well, think of a video you have watched and think of like why you quit watching it. Think of why you stopped watching that video. Well, most of the time it's because it either didn't apply to you or you're confused about what's happening. Think of a show you started watching, and in the first episode, you're like super confused and you're like, you know what? I don't know what's going on right here. And I want to quit. And you quit watching it. Like Lost. A lot of people were lost watching Lost and they quit watching it because they were confused. But people that like watch a season or two, they love it. They understand it. And even though they don't know all the answers to stuff, they understand why they don't know the answers to it. And so it's something that we had to focus on with our teaching is we need to erase that confusion. We need to repeat ourselves. I always tell teachers, when you say something, if you have a rule or procedure or like a motto for your class, slogan, whatever it is, if you have a vision, a mission for your class, you want to say it so many times that students are making fun of you for saying it. They're mocking you like, our mission is to go, work hard, have fun, be kind, blah, blah, blah. That's mine with my family and my kids. Work hard, be kind, have fun. And you want them to make fun of you because that means they remember it. You don't get to just say it during the first day during, back to school, like evaluation, back to school. What's the term? Your syllabus, your start of school syllabus. You don't get to say it once and forget about it. You have to repeat it. If it's important, you repeat it. We repeat what matters to us. Okay. We repeat what matters to us. And that's why you got to clear that up by being clear. Here's one thing that I love to do. Have you guys ever used Canva? If not, there's a link in my Instagram bio. Just hit me up, Tyler Tarver. You should go get it. It's free. You get the premium for free as a teacher. Canva is amazing. And you can go in and you can actually set a custom Google form header with either test procedures, quiz procedures, your classroom motto, something you want them to see constantly. You can go in and actually set that as the form header. And you're thinking, why would I do that? Because it's going to repeat what's important to you. It's going to repeat the procedures you care about. It's going to repeat what matters to you. So an easy way to do that is put it as a Google form header. Put it as a Google Classroom header. And Canva is one of the best I've seen on doing it. I've got walkthroughs on how to create that if you want. Just get that. Also, I've got a classroom walkthrough template. This is at tarveracademy.com/resources. Zach, what's up? Good to see you, Zach. I love Zach. Zach's dope. He's top notch for real. Classroom walkthrough template. If you got any administrators, this is great for them to go through, and then they can share that with the teacher on what they saw in their class and how they can make it better. Back when I was an administrator, we did something called a flex mod schedule. It's like you take like a 7 or 8 period day and you shake it up and you throw it on the ground and you cut everything in half and then you stick it back on the wall. So with this, students would be in class instead of like, if I went to geometry 50 minutes a day, 5 days a week, with flex mod schedule, it's like for every class, I only am in class 4 of those 5 class periods. And then that extra like amount of time, that 50 minutes times 6 or 7 or how many classes you have, that is now what's called independent learning time. So my teachers are available to where I can go in and get personal tutoring. And the idea was the teachers could focus for those hours they had them in class. They could focus on the material and the content. But then what they can do is that extra amount of time can be they can deliver the instruction virtually, like either watch a video or listen to a podcast or read this to make up for that class time to get the material. But then it frees the teacher up to be like a personal tutor for students that need it as they come back into the class. And so with this schedule, it's a pretty radical thing to do for high school students and middle school students. And so we wanted to get a gauge on those students. So we sent out like a voluntary, so we only had 230 students reply, which is less than half, but we had them reply with what they felt about it. And we had a bunch of questions. We had scales, we had ideas, we had true or false. Like we had a ton of different stuff we did to try to gauge how they felt about it. And we're like every week or two, we're making modifications. We're making changes. We're trying to adjust it. We're trying to be clear and transparent with them on how we can keep making this better. And here's a screenshot from one of them. And it's like, you can see that like we saw that this scale was like, there's a bunch of people that absolutely loved it. and there's a bunch of people that absolutely hated it. Okay. And so it's like, all right, well, we need to go in and read the ones that hated it. So we would just sort the answers in the spreadsheet. We would sort it by the ones who gave it the lowest rating. And then we looked at like their recommendations on how to fix it. And so that's what we wanted to do. We were going in and we were being intentional. Students knew this email was coming. They knew this form was coming. We also sent one to the teachers, and they knew it was coming. And it was a chance for them to have a voice. We had two-way communication. Two-way communication is one of the most underrated things that we did that you can do as a teacher and administrator. Zach had a comment, said one of the best experiences he ever did was part of the year they ran a 5-day rolling schedule. It allowed you to see the same group of kids during different parts of the day. An amazing difference. Zach, I'm not gonna lie, I love the FlexMod schedule, but there's a lot of teachers that weren't fans of it. And it's like the students that were motivated and working hard, like they're involved in band or choir or sports, they loved it because they could use that independent learning time and not wait on the rest of the class to catch up. They could work ahead and then go talk to a teacher if they needed help. The ones that struggle, we had a lot more A's and a lot more F's. And we had a lot more like teachers we saw were great teachers, and we had a lot more teachers that we saw didn't really care about working with students. So what this schedule did was actually put a magnifying glass on all of this. Austin, I'm sorry, I just saw Austin's comment. Austin said, my name's Austin Brown. I have to teach my dad manners and how to be good on camera. Austin, I don't doubt it, man. You know, but here's the thing. It's not like your dad's bad at manners or how to be good on camera. It's just that you're so good. It's like who's great? If let's see. DeMar DeRozan. Like there's nothing I could teach DeMar DeRozan about basketball. But if Michael Jordan walks in the room, DeMar is going to be listening to everything he says because he's that much better. And you're the Jordan in this scenario, Austin, and your dad is DeMar DeRozan. So you can put that in the bank. All right. So let's keep rolling with the clear communication. Another thing that you can do in your classroom is have a state of the classroom report. Once every couple of weeks or once a month, you could have, we did this. I did this at central office. We called it state of the district report. And I had a Google form where teachers could ask anything because we wanted to be transparent about decisions we're making at central office. And a lot of times teachers, if they don't know what's happening, they just make up a story. We would hear these crazy rumors about stuff that they were doing or that was happening or whatever. And we're like, that's absurd. And the reason is we weren't filling that information void with the truth. And so I literally just said, this anonymous Google form, ask whatever questions you want. I'll paste the question and then I'll answer it. And like, I'll put it in writing, send it out once a month to them. I only did it for like half a semester, but it was good while we did it. We just stopped doing it because it felt like we weren't getting any new information after a while or any new things that they wanted to know about. But I feel like that open communication, it's like, you're always going to have a 10 to 15% that never believe you no matter what. Like you can be the most honest person ever. They're just going to deny and want to believe the worst in people or want to believe the crazy rumors because it's more fun. But what you're doing is for those that are kind of in the middle that are like, I don't understand why they made this decision. Seems kind of crazy to me. You can be like, oh, these are our intentions. And then they can be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand it. I might not agree with it, but I understand it. It's the same thing you probably heard when it talks about like disagreements or arguments or fights. It's like we always want to judge other people on their actions, but we want people to judge us on our intentions. And without communication and explaining those intentions for those decisions, I can see where people would continue to get frustrated. Here's an example of something else I did when I was a principal, when I was a school principal. I wanted to be clear and transparent with students, but also parents. And I wanted them to be able to see what was going on because I'm not going to lie, I got the impression that not all the students took the notes home and gave them to their parents. I know it's crazy. Students, you think they give them everything. They're just like, Mom, Dad, look at this cool note I got from my teacher. And they just hand it to them first thing. I don't think they did. And so what I would do is I would make these videos and I would give the parents the link so they could watch these announcements every day. They could watch the announcements and I'd bring students in and they'd be on video with me and we'd talk and joke. And, we'd get to do some, get to have a little rapport, and the students could see my personality as a principal, because whenever you become a principal, really all you're doing is you get to see like the 10% of students who are always getting in trouble. And I was like, no, I want to take this opportunity to bring in students that I don't ever get to hang out with. And then I want them to also see my personality on video. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not. Students, this generation, Gen Z, connects with people on video that they've never seen in real life. And so I want to encourage you to do something like this, whether it's weekly or monthly or whatever it is. If you did some sort of announcement or catch up or something like that, it's great for getting parents the opportunity to see your personality before you have to meet with them. It happened one time. I had a young lady. She was in 6th or 7th grade, and she was a great student, did great all the time. But then about 5 or 6 months into the school year, she made a mistake, and I had to call her parents up there to talk to them. They came into my office. I've only talked to them one time. Sorry, this is the garage. Scared me pretty good. In real life. And in that meeting, when they came up, they were sitting there, and they came in the room, and they acted like we were old high school friends. Like, oh my gosh, what'd she do now? I can't believe she did that. Oh, she's so great. We love your morning announcement videos. Those parents connected with me as a principal without ever really talking to me that frequently in real life. And it's because they watch those videos. It's a great way to connect with parents and students. Whenever I was at central office, I also had the responsibility of being in charge of communication. And what we did was, until that point, we were kind of quiet on social media. We didn't talk a lot on social media. And if a parent ever went on, I know you guys have never seen this, a parent went on and they put something that they were frustrated about with the school on Facebook, that's all that a lot of parents would ever see about the school was the complaints from other parents. And so what I said is, you know what? I don't want those people to control the narrative about our school. And so what we started doing, we started posting 1 to 3 times a day, like Instagram, Facebook. We even had some Snapchat story stuff. Like, we were constantly talking and bragging about all the stuff going on with our students, our teachers, our school. And what we did was we built up that like online equity with people, and we created the narrative for our school. We had a situation where a parent and a student, they had a situation happen that was not good, but it got handled appropriately, and we followed everything according to the handbook and policies. But they also made a version of that story that was highly exaggerated and put it online, and it went viral. It blew up online. And people were going and finding our school Facebook page, and they were commenting negative stuff on the page. And we were like, this does not actually represent this is not who our school is. This is a situation that was taken somewhere that wasn't actually in truth supposed to go. And so what we did was because we had put that emotional equity into online constantly with these other parents and these people and these students, everybody, we had a ton of people. We had like maybe 15 or 20 people go in and make negative, like 1-star ratings about our school, who have never been to our school, never interacted with our school, just basing it off of that post. We had like 250 people come in, rate it 5 stars, and talk about how much they loved our school because we had built that equity online. It also helped our elementary and our middle school win elementary school, like top elementary school in the state and top middle school in the state, because we had built up that audience online because we're constantly controlling the narrative and posting online. This is something I gave you guys in our last presentation, but I still want you to have it. It's available, tarveracademy.com/resources. It is a template for creating a video, and I base this off a lot of stuff that I've learned through my online stuff. Zach said, one of the best. Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Zach said that you could send the link to those announcement things home as a QR code so parents can scan it and watch it on their cell phones. That's a fantastic idea. You can also create a reminder for parents and just send it through there if you need them to get it. You had a similar last year when you used your quote of the day idea and did a daily video with a quote. Got more comments from parents during the conferences. That's awesome. See, I absolutely love that. And I love it if you would get to the point where you're on the video. That would be sick. Oh my goodness, this slide got jacked up. But this is like a cheat sheet. I've got it on my thing. Just email me. It's a cheat sheet on what type of video interaction to do. And if you want any advice on how to do, I've got a video. Just go to my YouTube channel, Tarver Academy, and you can get this iPhone video tips. I've also got on my website. It is how to make decent videos using a cell phone. And this is for you or students who are creating videos for your class. If you have any questions, throw in the chat right now. I'll answer them. If you got any thoughts or questions, toss them in there. I'd love to answer those. And you know, I love chatting with you guys about this. I love having these conversations and these hangouts, and I'd love to answer anything you have, any thoughts you have or questions you have. And I just really appreciate you viewing this either now or pre-recorded. And I'd like to thank, you know, I'd obviously love to thank, you know, Bill and everybody at the co-op for letting me do this. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun, and you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. Zach, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out with me and chatting and being vocal in there. Austin, same to you, man. Appreciate you guys chatting and talking. And if you guys don't have any more thoughts or questions, I guess I will sign off of here, and I will talk to you guys later. Y'all be good. Stay sweet. Peace.